good to go?
You already asked me like 3 times.
Because you're not saying nothing. Like, give me a thumbs up to let me know that we're recording or something.
I said yeah.
Okay.
Ah!
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Nintendo Expression Pass here on Boss Rush Network. I'm your host and Latin Insider, Eddie V. Joining me is Bossman himself, the one, the only Mr. Corey Dirrig.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm exhausted. How are you, Ed?
I am doing good. Trying to bring energy.
What energy? No energy allowed here.
Why not?
I don't know.
Why you? Oh goodness. Well, everybody, we got a great topic for you. But before we get into that topic, we just got announced that the Turtles collection, Kawabunga collection, is releasing August 30th. Corey, are you excited for this happening? Do you think now that we know the full lineup, and we're not going to spend too much time on it, now that we know the full lineup, do you think that the Kawabunga collection is the biggest game now in August?
I mean, from like a Nintendo's perspective?
Yes.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's a great collection, and I know a lot of people are excited for it, but I mean, I don't really know from like a. I mean, I guess so. I mean, the biggest thing. I mean, it's definitely not the biggest game for August overall, but I mean, for Switch, no. I think it might be close, if not. You know, I mean, it's competing with 2 Point Campus, right, for Switch. And Blossom Tales, which, you know, I mean, more people know what Ninja Turtles is than Blossom Tales, obviously, but you know, I mean, you gotta fight off all these other games, like that weird Pac-Man remake is also coming out that month too. So
yes,
but I mean, I think it'll do well just because Switch doesn't have Madden or Saints Row, right? Those are the two kind of big August games. But, you know, I think a lot of people are more excited for this collection because of the success of Shredder's Revenge, right? And so,
yes,
yeah, I mean, I'm really excited for it. I am. It's weird because like I'm having a hard time being excited for it because I love Ninja Turtles and I will be excited for it, but right now it's just like I kind of want something new, and I've played all these games like 100 times, but I'm just glad everybody gets to play these on modern hardware because we haven't really been able to play these games really outside of, you know, a couple Xbox Live Arcade releases and that's it, right? I mean, like the Game Boy games are stuck on Game Boy. The NES games are stuck there, right? The only games that really got re-released were the arcade versions of these games, and I'm excited to play. Mostly excited to play Hyperstone Heist and Turtles in Time, and the Super Nintendo version of Tournament Fighters is what I'm really excited to play.
I think a lot of people really want to play the SNES version of Turtles in Time because
it's better.
Well, yeah, and I think a lot of people, they heard about it, but because a lot of people weren't around, like some of the kids and, you know, probably some new gamers, they weren't around during that time that game came out.
Well, whose fault is that?
It's the parents' fault. They didn't have kids around that time. I mean, and I think they've seen it on so many lists and they heard people talk about it. I think it has brought like a lot of interest of people playing it and everything. Because I think people are going to finish that collection throughout that weekend. And I know for a lot of people who want to play the first Ninja Turtles, they're going to be using that rewind feature like crazy.
Good luck, everybody. Oof. Talk about I'm sorry, but it's really bad. Like that first Turtles game is not very good, like at all. You know, my advice to you would be make it as far as you can with Raph first, and then as the turtles' weapons get longer, I would progress your turtles that way. uh, because Donatello is definitely the best turtle in that game.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's the best in a lot of those early games anyway, because the staff is just so long, right?
All right.
And
And
it's just easy. It's just easy for him to reach everybody.
and I think that's why that makes him the most like powerful character in the game. Um, when you play as him, because even in tournament fighters for Super Nintendo, he got some good range, and kind of have almost like the best specials in super attacks.
Hmm.
Well, no, Michelangelo has the best super attack, but like Donatello is a threat in that game.
Yeah, I mean it's been a long time since I played Tournament Fighters. To be honest, I don't really even remember a lot of it.
Mhm.
Um, and I just remember this Genesis version was not nearly as good as the Super Nintendo version. As much as I think I wanted it to be. I for some reason I just remember the Genesis version not being as good. It's definitely different. Uh,
Yeah, I know for me, I definitely want to play. So 3 and Turtles 2 for the Game Boy are the ones that I definitely want to play because those are the only two that I haven't played in that whole collection.
I mean, the Game Boy, the second and third Game Boy games are the ones that I've never played. Like, I didn't even know there was a third game on Game Boy.
Yeah,
Uh,
no, I did play the second one. It's the third one. I'm sorry,
yeah.
it's the third one.
I definitely only played the second one scarcely. Uh, the first one though, like I own Follow the Foot Clan, and
Mm,
that was fun because they actually let you choose which level you got to start at, and it was just like
yeah,
it was fun because like it was kind of a workaround for like a lack of a continue system,
mm,
right? And so like I would just jump into the level I had died at or whatever, and it was just easy. Uh, but yeah, man, I don't know. I'm excited. I I don't know. I just didn't get into Shredder's Revenge the way I wanted to, and I think it's just because I played by myself, and that's clearly not the way you're supposed to play these games. Uh, but I had a really hard time getting into it, and I played like the first 6 or 7 levels, and I
mm,
kind of stopped playing. Now, part of it is because I've been playing Death's Door, and I want to finish it before the end of the year because it seems like every time I start a game, I can't finish it, and also very frustrating. Uh, but yeah, I mean, I'll probably go back to Shredder's Revenge and finish it because it's something that I should probably be doing. Uh, but yeah, I mean, these older games though, man, like especially if they work with the Super Nintendo and Genesis controllers that Nintendo Switch Online put out, like it's gonna feel right at home, like just playing it again, uh, like when I was a kid. So, but yeah, I mean, I expect this game to totally sell really well, especially for like Shredder's Revenge did well, and then a bunch of parents who have kids that will want to play these games because parents remember these games more, obviously. So
yeah. I, I know I am excited. Cause it's probably gonna be like a weekend game for me. Like I could probably get through most of it throughout the weekend.
hmm
And then be ready for like Splatoon 3 when it comes out in September.
hmm
Um, cause like you said, like Saints Row the Third. I mean not Saints Row the Third. Sorry, the Saints Row remake. If that does a good job of being a great game, that's gonna probably be the highlight. Madden.
I mean,
I
Madden is
think
Madden at this point.
yeah,
I
but
mean, I
man,
would love to say that Madden's going to be good this year, but it's not going to. I mean, it's just going to be the same thing.
what? No, it was so IGN said announced that EA was doing FIFA 23.
Yeah.
Um, and people, the responses have been like they just don't care. They were just like we do not care
Well,
about this.
I mean, the thing though is like the people who like FIFA are not IGN's audience, so I don't like any time a sports game comes out. I don't listen to the comments, and I mean I don't really go to IGN anymore anyway. But like, I don't listen to the comment sections of like the enthusiast news outlets, right? Like you need to go to like a Reddit thread or like the message boards for Madden or FIFA, right? Like you got to go to those places to find, because that's where you're going to find the hardcore players. So whatever IGN says or the comments in IGN, I don't really, that tells me nothing.
It was mostly on Twitter, and I think they would just say, they weren't like promoting it, but they were just like EA just announced, FIFA 23 because this is the last game that they're going to have the FIFA name.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people were just, I think it was just weird to see the responses that people were getting because they were connecting FIFA to Madden and to be like, it's the same thing. It's going to probably be almost like the same teams with the little changes here and there. And I guess I'm like, is the next gen's versions just not up to snuff neither? Like the Switch version is? Is it just like...
Well, the Switch version is just the Legacy Edition, like it has been the last 3 or 4 years. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, not really that concerned about that version. It's, sorry. I know that it's one of those things where, the Switch versions, they added the women's soccer teams, so they did add stuff to the Switch version this year, but it's very minimal.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think from what I've heard, from people who play FIFA and what I've heard from people who are like really into it, this version is actually going to be pretty good. But again, the sports games are so popular that they're just never going to leave behind last gen, I mean, heck, we got Xbox 360 versions of Madden and FIFA until like 17 or 18, right? And like,
yeah,
the new consoles were almost coming out, and we were still getting those Madden versions. So I just think people are just especially on the internet. I just don't pay attention to what they have to say because, I mean, I stopped using Twitter except for as a promotional tool because I was just tired of people on Twitter,
all the negative nasty.
Yeah, it's just, I just don't use Twitter anymore. Like I mean, I do because I work in social media, right? Like, so I use Twitter because that's part of my job. But I mean, like, I very rarely comment on people's stuff anymore unless I know the person. I very rarely like retweet or comment something or have an idea, right? Because I know as soon as I tweet something, like there's going to be a negative comment or there's going to be some sort of something, and I turn all notifications off for DMs, right? Like I just don't pay attention to that stuff. But I mean, in terms of like FIFA and Madden, like I expect FIFA to be good because I think FIFA is actually really good every year. It's Madden that is concerning, and like I said before, like I would absolutely love to buy Madden every year like I used to.
Mm-hmm.
But until they fix the issues with connectivity and online and like how laggy it is, I don't know if I will buy Madden until they fix that.
I do wonder with some of EA's games, and this even plays a part with Nintendo and stuff, is that where do they feel like their resources are important to use? Like, do they, like, because with the Nintendo stuff, and I'm not saying about stuff just underpower or anything like that, because I think there's been games on Nintendo that even with what they have, they've been able to be creative on that system with a lot of games.
It's because Nintendo knows how to optimize for the console, right? I mean,
Well,
that's the
mhm.
thing. Is like Nintendo optimizes and will like Nintendo games will always run the best. Like they'll always be the best running games on the console, like hands down,
Mhm.
always. Doesn't matter.
I mean, and I think there's some indies and third party games that do run, and with some of the port houses that some companies use to bring games over, I think believe they do a good job. But it kind of feels like with EA, I'm like, I wonder how do they, you know, are they putting their sources like for the bigger consoles and then just whenever they feel like they want to do something for Nintendo. And I'm not trying to be shady or anything, but it's just like, why hasn't there been a team at EA that literally just makes Switch games from the ground up, or new IPs or ideas for it? I mean,
I just
or
don't
is
think
it?
EA cares about the Switch. I mean, that's it. That's they don't find it. They don't find the margin of profitability to be worth putting stuff on the Switch except for old stuff, right? Like I mean,
Mhm.
or their indies, some of their indie things, whatever they call them, EA originals.
And do you think that's why the response from some of the community, like they just don't care for EA being on that console, or even Activision at the
I
at,
just want to say that FIFA is one of the top selling games on Switch every year.
but I wonder if that's because of Europe.
I mean,
So I
yeah,
mean,
but I mean, it's just like I know people say that EA doesn't care about the Switch and like yeah, I agree in a lot of ways, but FIFA is in the top 5 selling games on Switch every year.
mhm.
And I just, I think the way that people think about EA and the Switch and even, companies like the Activisions and stuff, it's like they're going to put the games that make sense on the Switch. I think Activision has actually done a great job supporting the Switch, right? Oh no, they don't put Call of Duty on the Switch. Who cares? You know, they
I
put
don't think.
Crash, Tony Hawk, Spyro.
Mhm.
Those are great experiences.
I think for a lot of people, it's like, yeah, you're putting it on, but it's the late
But
factor,
then you got to get mad at Sega because they're not putting Yakuza or Judgment on the Switch.
which a lot of people were mad at Sega for it. When Yakuza 1 and 2 came from Wii U in Japan, people in America was asking Sega to bring it here. And because it didn't sell well in Japan, they was expecting it to sell worse in America. So they wasn't gonna put the time and effort. I'm just like, you I'm like, you gotta realize that Yakuza at that time was still a niche series. It took a really long time for the Yakuza series to get popular as it was. And people the Nintendo community was just like, we will buy this game, Sega, if you bring it over.
I mean, I don't think so. Like I don't think people would buy it.
I
I
mean, I was just talking about the Yakuza 1 and 2 before the Wii U,
oh like I but I don't think that they would have. That's the thing too. Is like I just don't think that they would have.
which would be weird because of all the sales that Sonic has done on Wii U, or Nintendo consoles in general, and those games have been, I would say, average enough to garner their sale numbers.
I mean,
That is it.
I guess, but how much did Sonic really even sell on the Wii U? Do you know that number to say that for sure?
Um, I probably can look. I wonder which one, Sonic Boom or uh,
Sonic Boom on the Wii U sold 620,000 copies.
that's
That's nothing. So,
six hundred
and
twenty
Sonic
thousand.
and Sonic is popular. You're gonna tell me that the Yakuza games are gonna sell more than that?
It only did, I think, about 1,400 or 14,000 estimated in Japan.
I mean, I just, I don't know. I just sometimes I think a lot of Nintendo fandom wants things. They think they want things, or they say they
Mm,
want things because it's the loud, obnoxious part of the internet. And it's a Mirror's Edge situation, right? Remember when everybody said they wanted a Mirror's Edge sequel or Mirror's Edge, another Mirror's Edge game, and then EA made one and nobody bought it?
yeah.
It sold less
Yeah.
than 300,000 copies, within the
Yeah.
first year, which is awful. And that scares people, and that was on consoles that people owned. You know,
Yeah.
so I mean, I don't care. Like, I don't really care which companies support the Switch as long as there's good, fun experiences and great indie games and great Nintendo games. Then it's fine. Like, I don't need Call of Duty on the Switch. I don't need Destiny on the Switch. I don't need Dead Space or Mass Effect on the Switch. Would it be cool? Yeah, of course it would. I would love to play Mass Effect on the go, and I'm sure like Laurent would love to take Dead Space on the road with him when he goes
Mm.
places, right? But like they're not they're just not going to be the experience most people want, and that's okay, you know. We have
Well,
other experiences.
I think the thing about it is that why, when the I think it's people. I always go back to the PS3 and 360 era, with EA and some of these other companies to be like, when you guys were supporting this and you was getting good sales, that's what you wanted to do. You were saying that there's going to be good sales, and now you see
Who's saying there's going to be good sales?
when a game comes out on Xbox or PS3 during that time, not Microsoft, EA and Activision felt like they're going to have better sales on
It's
their
because
console.
their games require powerful hardware, great
Mm.
online systems, and you know, a beefier console to run these games. Modern Warfare's install size is like 130 gigs. Like, you can't put that on the Switch. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
oh yeah, I know, I understand, but I'm just talking about um, like kind of back in that era that they was when these
and
companies were saying that
and
they felt
Activision
like
put two Call of Duty games on the Wii U, and they didn't sell anything.
they
They put
did
Black
what.
Ops 2 and they put
Mhm.
Ghosts, and they didn't sell anything. Madden, EA put two versions of Madden on the Switch. They put two versions of FIFA on the Switch. 2K put NBA 2K on the Wii U. They didn't
Mhm.
sell anything, you know? And yeah, part of it was because, like, people didn't want those versions because some of the features were incomplete, but that's because the Wii U had terrible online and they didn't have a properly functioning DLC system until like halfway through the life cycle, you know?
I think it's because they were so Wii U was so brand new, and we knew that Nintendo wasn't a big online company just yet.
But they should have known that
Like they,
based on the Wii though. The
I
Wii
mean,
had an amazing like the the eShop was awesome. The virtual console was awesome.
yeah, the shopping was, but for a game to be online to play with other players, Nintendo didn't have that experience
But
or any.
they no, they've had online since the GameCube. They should have like that's the thing about Nintendo though is like they like are so they're so ahead in so many ways, but they're so far behind in so many other ways.
But
They're still behind in online. Like Xbox 360 runs better online than the Nintendo Switch, right? In
mm,
2005, Xbox 360 was running better online. And yeah, I get it. Like Microsoft is an infrastructure company, they're a software company. They know how to do that stuff. And Nintendo is a toy maker and a games company. But if you're going to try to compete in this space in 2022, you got to do something like that to at least like entice these companies to try to do something on your console in this space, right? They don't have anything in this space. They have Splatoon and they have Smash Brothers
But
and they have Mario
they,
Kart.
but
And like,
I think that's the thing about it. It's just like you, it's the visual. I guess seeing that this game and this system is selling. So why haven't you guys created anything new for it? We as Nintendo shouldn't have to come and get you guys to do something. We've tried that before and you never delivered.
and I think Nintendo's okay with that though. And as a Nintendo fan, like I've just learned to expect not to have those experiences, or at least the experiences that I would get on the other consoles.
Hmm.
And like as as verbally frustrating when I say that out loud, it's super frustrating. But like at the end of the day, I'm lucky enough to have the other consoles and be able to play those experiences there.
Yeah.
Of course, I would love to play Madden handheld in bed, right? Of course I would. But I'm not going to get that experience, and I've accepted that, and it's fine for me. To me, it's fine.
I think a lot of people have accepted it. I think it's just that.
I mean, I buy 2K, I buy NBA 2K every year, and it's like, it's a great experience. I love playing NBA 2K on the Switch. I love playing FIFA on the Switch. But if they're not going to try, then I don't.
And I think that's what most people kind of want EA and Activision and some of these other companies who see that the Switch just itself is in a good place to try something.
But what are they going to try? Like, this isn't. I mean, games are way more expensive than they used to be. Like, EA's not going to try to put something like Boom Blocks on the Switch again. Like that EA doesn't exist anymore. And granted, they're trying new things and they're trying interesting things, right? Like the Dead Space remake, and they've been like really open about the development of that game. Or the new free-to-play Skate game, they've been really open about the development of that, and the fact that it's free-to-play is like super surprising. And so, when we get to that kind of stuff, I think like overall, I actually think EA is in a better spot than they have been in a long time in terms of interesting things that they're trying, games they're putting out. The Star Wars stuff that they're doing is pretty interesting at this point.
Yeah.
A post Battlefront 2, they have the Jedi Survivor game. They have the first person shooter, which a lot of people think is like a spiritual successor to Republic Commando, which would be super cool. They have Apex Legends. They have, a new game from Respawn coming in that universe, right? They have a lot of interesting things. A new Mass Effect and Dragon Age, which is exciting. I'm more excited about those games now than I was 2 years ago based on where EA is.
But I think that's all on the other consoles and
That's
nothing for
fine.
Nintendo.
That's
and I
fine.
but that's probably, I think that's some of the problems that people kind of have. It's just like, yes, you are a great company. You're in a good space. You're doing all of this stuff. But what about us? What about you saying that you have a great partner relationship with Nintendo? You're saying all of this, but
they do for FIFA, so going back to like the sports stuff, like I understand like why Madden isn't on there and FIFA is, right? Because FIFA has a global appeal, whereas the NFL barely has an appeal outside of the United States.
America.
Hockey, hockey would actually be the next game I would think would be, across the board. But because like, Canada has, super appealing to Canadians, most northern United States, states like hockey, Eastern Europe really likes hockey. Like I could see that being something EA would tinker with, except that NHL is not very good in the first place, And so, like, when it comes to Switch, yeah, FIFA is the game that has global appeal, and they're gonna sell it wherever they can. You know,
So, I guess I want to ask, why is it just a FIFA for EA? Why haven't EA like created new IPs like platformers
because it's
or
probably not.
associated?
It's probably not worth it to them. You know, you're gonna spin up a new team to create something for, take 4 or 5 years to develop,
Mhm.
midway through a life cycle, and by the time that game comes out, it's going to be the end of the life cycle, and then to sell, maybe 1 million copies when this game is probably clearly going to come out on other platforms, and it's going to do better there and run
But
better and look
but
better.
but I think that's the question because like if you look at the Battlefield 2042 and that bombed badly,
It's
like
because they pushed the game out without it being finished. It didn't even have a leaderboard. It didn't even have a scoreboard.
right, and the thing about it is that could bomb badly. That could be problematic. They could fix it, do whatever. They would still continue to be like, okay, we're working on the next Battlefield for Sony and
It's
Microsoft and PC,
it's
and it's
because
just like,
Battlefield sells 20 million units.
if, but I think, well, of course, you know, but it's just like even if a game bombs, I guess I'm thinking of even if a game bombs, regardless of what the sale numbers are, and bombing as in there's complaints the game is not good, stuff like that. That game would still get a follow up for those consoles. If a game bombs on Nintendo, that's it.
Hmm.
Game over. Regardless, it could sell. It could do the uh Tomb Raider one sale, where it could sell a high ton of numbers and not be satisfying in a sense to that company. But that's sales numbers. Even though the gameplay may be as great as Tomb Raider is, like even if a game for Nintendo for EA was just enough just creative for the ground up, and regardless if it did 1 or 2 million sales, and it could be midly average or whatever, EA would quickly give up to it because it's not up to their standard or anything. Or they'd be like, well, enough people didn't buy it really. I'm like, 2 million is a good number.
I mean, not today. Not in today's gaming ecosystem. With how much game production costs and how long it
Hmm.
takes and how big the teams are. You have like minimum 50 or 60 people working on a game, probably more close, especially at EA, it's probably closer to like 100 to
Hundreds.
120 people for 4 years. And then you got to pay the marketing team, you got to pay the QA team, you got to pay, you know, reception and accounting and marketing, and you got to pay all these people. And so when you think about it, yeah, on paper you sell 1 million, like say the game costs $60 and you sell 1 million units, that's $60 million. Yeah, that's a big number to you and me who sit here by ourselves to do this. But when you have to
Hmm.
pay, the salaries of all these people for 4 years, their health insurance, their dental insurance, leave of absence, or maternity leave, or all these other different things that you just don't account for, suddenly that profit is, cut down to like a quarter, and you make, oh, 15 million or 10 million off this one experience that we worked so hard for, like in terms of profitability, and then you have to pay out your shareholders and stuff. That's not really worth it. And then you have to pay to, port the game to this console, which Switch, I hear, is if you don't have the dev kit right away or whatever, which, like, I
Hmm.
understand that, like, all these bigger companies, they can just get dev kits and stuff and whatever, but it's like, it's going to cost you like a little bit over $1 million to port this game down to a console. Like, that's at
But
that
I'm
point,
thinking,
like, you know, consolidate your executive team and you make just as much profit as you would by developing a game for
and
4 years.
I'm thinking of just like building something up from it because I think that would at least get people interested to be like, okay, EA's doing a new IP, they're doing something fresh
It
for
would get people to
Nintendo.
talk, but like talking about a game and people actually getting people to buy the game, especially when Nintendo's putting out a new first party title every 5 or 6 weeks. And then you get great things like the Ninja Turtles collection, or Nier Automata, which Nintendo fans have not played, Persona. You get all these great other experiences that people prefer to play on Switch. They're not going to pay attention to, whatever. It could be a really great game, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, at the end of the day, if you sell 1 or 2 million units, that's not enough. Especially for EA, who sells games by the tens of millions every year.
But those games are on multi-platform and not just one game.
That's what I'm saying, and that makes it even worse for EA. Like, they don't want to be a single platform company. They want to make the most money wherever they can,
mm-hmm.
because their executives expect a payout, their shareholders expect a payout, their design leads expect their bonuses and stuff. That's the other thing. You got to pay out bonuses and shareholders and stuff. Like, by the time you sell 2 million units on the Switch, that's like you're
mm-hmm.
not making any money. $0. You're breaking even. Maybe.
But do you think EA will be confused? Be like, okay, how is the game like I'm just using for example, like, how's a game like Hades is selling?
Because it was made by 12 people, and they don't have shareholders, they don't have executives penny pinching, and they don't have bean counters, and they don't have bonuses to pay out. They don't have extraordinary amounts of insurance to pay out. They have 12 people to pay and pay their insurance, make sure their salary is paid, and that's it. Hades can sell 3 million units on the Switch, and that's it. EA is thousands of times bigger than Supergiant.
Yeah.
I think Supergiant has 25 employees maybe, whereas Probably. That's like a quarter the size of one team at EA. That's the difference. EA is a publicly traded company with thousands of employees.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I'm coming from, is like, it's just, there's so many things that people just don't think of when they ask for things from these big companies. And like, I get it, right? I would love every game to come to Switch. I'm part of the Port Everything to Switch club. I really am.
I think it's the wording that some of the execs and stuff say. It's just that, like, when they say that.
But that's the thing. They're executives. They don't know how to talk to normal people. They don't know how to talk to gamer people. They have somebody write and rewrite these press releases mm-hmm. for them, or these tweets, or these the new hotness is the Cyberpunk started with the the colorful background with the words on it, right? Like, they pay people to literally write their statements for them, and they don't know how to talk to normal people.
And I think that's why there's some of the Nintendo community hosts EA and Activision and all of this stuff, when they said that if a game and stuff is selling big on these consoles, that's where we're gonna go to. Well, the stuff is selling on this console, so why are you not coming to us? So now it's just like,
and but what I just explained to you,
mm-hmm.
right? Like, even if, like, say they were gonna port one of their big games to Switch, okay, they have instantly lost $1 million. Right, from the get-go, because they have to port down, right? Whereas PC, Xbox, and PlayStation all run relatively on the same the same infrastructure.
Yeah.
You can get a development code for Xbox for $100. $100, you can turn your Xbox Series S or X into a development kit
mm-hmm.
for $100. Switch has such a, like, it's the same problem with the Wii U, except a little bit different, right? Where the Wii U was astronomically difficult to port to, and that's why we didn't get a lot of games initially, and then it just didn't sell, and that's why we didn't get any afterwards. But, like,
And I blame. I'm not saying I'm not blaming Nintendo on that or the other companies. I feel like they had more time to study with 360 and PS3 and put out more games right there. With the Wii U, it really felt like some of the big third
Well,
party
the
didn't try to take the
PlayStation
time
3
to
didn't get a
learn
lot of
them.
games initially either. The PlayStation 3 didn't get a lot of games initially either because of the cell architecture. And it was, to everybody else, it was half as powerful as the Xbox 360.
But those companies stayed with them throughout the whole PlayStation 3 life and
But
put
they
games
didn't.
on there.
They didn't, though. Those games came later after the PlayStation was redesigned, and they had people who properly went to these companies and begged them to port games to their console. And I think a lot of people forget that the PlayStation 3 actually outsold the Xbox 360. It's just by the time people cared, or by the time
Hmm.
PlayStation did that, people didn't care, and Xbox had the mind share of people, right? And like Nintendo never had that mind share. Like they had the Wii mind share,
Yeah,
but the Wii was nothing like the Xbox and the PlayStation at the time.
yeah,
Nothing, right? I mean, the big joke was it was two GameCubes duct taped together,
yeah,
and like, the Wii got a lot of interesting, games, but like something like the Force Unleashed, right? Like we've talked about that before, and
hmm,
the I was really excited when they said they were bringing that game to Switch. But guess what? It's the Wii version. Why would I want the Wii version of the Force Unleashed on this console? It was not very good, right? They changed a lot of things, and I just like the third party stuff that ended up coming to Wii was not good. Like it just wasn't good because they tried to force and I know this is a family show, so earmuffs, kids, but like they half assed a lot of the motion controls, a lot of these third
yeah.
parties. Or they just tried to implement as little as possible.
And I guess that's why it's kind of confusing. I think to a lot of gamers about that, like games on. I guess people feel like games on other consoles could come out, not sell that much, depending on who is it from, whether they keep that studio open or closed. Because during the 360 or PS3 days, studios were getting closed with the game didn't sell. It kind of feels just like, I guess that people just felt like we gave you something. You said that you needed something from Nintendo. Nintendo has given
But
it to you.
what games didn't do well on the other consoles where they continued the series on those consoles?
Um, let's see, cause let's see. Um,
You know, I mean, you can't you
cause
can't.
Battlefield Hardlines didn't do good.
But
Um,
Battlefield, it. All you have to do is put a number in the next Battlefield, and it'll sell. It'll sell. And
um,
Hardline, I think the whole marketing around it wasn't the Battlefield team doing it, which
mm,
it wasn't. It was I think it was Motive or Jade Raymond's team at the time, which I guess would be Motive, was doing
yeah,
it. You know, and they were
I
trying to
know,
tell a cop story instead of a military story. Those are
I
two
know,
big check marks by that game that say no thank you to a
I know
lot of
that.
people fans of the series.
I know Medal of Honor didn't sell well.
And where's Medal
Uh,
of Honor?
it got a sequel, not
Because the
Warfighter, which
first
is a
one did
stupid
sell
name.
well. The first reboot did sell well.
How much did it sell? Because I remember that one did it.
And I remember
A
people
lot of
liking
people.
that game.
I liked it. I ended up liking it, but it was just like It came in with.
What year did that come out?
I think is it 413, 12 or 13?
U.S. sales for Medal of Honor 14 million units.
Was that on 360, PS3, and PC, or just PS3 and 360,
It just says the
or
reboot.
just
Hold on, that doesn't sound right. Hold on, let me look this up because this initial thing does not. That sounds really wrong. Let me just double check. But I mean, even let's just say, how many copies of Medal of Honor sell? No, that's the series. I just want Medal of Honor.
The reboot.
Medal of Honor. Okay, in the first 3 months, it sold 1.5 million units. Okay, that's respectable for reboot. So yeah, and then it has an 81 on Metacritic.
Mm-hmm.
That's in, if you're going to try to alternate between Medal of Honor and Battlefield, and at the time Titanfall, to Battle Call of Duty, you're going to put out a sequel, and the sequel was bad, and look where it is now, right? It's in a free Respawn VR experience, right? Like that's
the Medal of Honor, yeah.
So that's I think that's like, I think if games towards the end of the 360 generation, definitely during the Xbox One generation, if the game started to do bad, the series, they just canceled it. Look at Titanfall. Look how great Titanfall 2 is. Where's Titanfall at?
It's $3 on Xbox Xbox One.
Yeah.
No, and that's the thing about it. It's just, I think I think at that time it's making that perception that our game just won't sell well on this console, and it's just like, it's that giving up on it.
But it's not that it won't sell well. It's the, is it worth spending $1 million to sell 1 million units? That's it. Like, we talk about how Doom 2016, when it came to Switch, sold 1 million units when they announced that it hit 1 million units, and how surprised they were. You know how much it cost them to port that game on top of the initial $1 million?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, was that worth it to them? Was it worth making? And I get, like, EA versus Bethesda versus Activision versus Ubisoft, like, they all have different expectations for their games, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think they were expecting Doom 2016 to do as well as it did initially either, right? But, like, something that's worth doing for Bethesda, who is way smaller than someone like EA, their expectations are different. And so, yeah, maybe getting $25 million in profit from a Switch port is worth exploring, right? Or porting Skyrim to another console is worth it, because they know they're going to sell 5 million units on the Switch for a game that's already done, right?
Multiple times, like other consoles.
Yeah. And so I think I don't like to keep harping on EA, because EA does have games on the Switch, and they're pretty good. Like, obviously, like, their EA original stuff, like Unraveled and Fee or Faye are on there. Yeah. FIFA does really well for them. Burnout Paradise did extremely well for them.
Yes.
But, like, I think when it comes to these companies, you just got to look at the games that fit on the platform. Is it worth it? Is it worth doing?
And I think a lot of people, I think people just like, outside of Mass Effect, because no one's asking for Dragon Age, no one's asking for Battlefield, no one's asking for Madden, no one's asking for the stuff that is known that it's going to be, of course, it's going to sell better on other consoles, but I think people just like, hey, give us a new IP, something that is going to fit.
But that's not worth it to EA though. We just had this conversation. It's not worth it. It's not worth building a new IP for one console to them. It's not.
I mean, they'll port it to other consoles, of course, but I think
what was their last new IP? Anthem.
It would have been. Wait, was Knockout City?
No, that was like one of their EA Originals titles, and then now Knockout City is owned by the developer again.
But I wonder what happened with that one.
I don't know. I mean, they have seasons planned, so I don't know. But like, what was their last new IP? Anthem.
Anthem would have been,
They
yeah, because Star Wars Fallen Order would is still part of the Star Wars series.
Yeah, I
Well,
mean that's a new IP within the sub brand, I guess. But like,
it was Apex out before Anthem, I think.
I don't know, but Apex is part of Titanfall, so
Oh, then then Anthem would have been
yeah,
the newest
yeah.
would have been the
And
newest one.
look what happened after a year and a half of them trying to figure out what to do with that game. Right? They
Hmm.
spent what 30-40 million dollars trying to fix that game. Is that worth it? Was it worth it to them? No. But again, I think we're seeing a different EA. I think we're going to start seeing things from them. I just think game development takes a long time, even if you're trying to port something. I'm
Hmm.
still of the mind that Mass Effect is coming to the Switch at some point. You know, it's not going to be as glamorous as the Xbox Series X version, but I still think that those games are coming.
Shoot, the Xbox Series, shoot, that Mass Effect thing came and went too, and
What do you
I
mean?
think, I mean, it came, people bought it, they were enjoying it. It did. I think that it's just, I think I don't. Was there
I
was the
think
Last of Us Part Two
I think people
after
really
that?
loved Mass Effect when it came out, the
Oh, they
Legendary
did.
Edition.
They did.
And then it got
And
another marketing boost because it came to EA Play and Game Pass.
yeah, yeah. I think a lot of people were just like they played it, and that's why I was wondering. I'm like, because that came in May, and I wonder if the Last of Us Part Two followed up after that came out. I wonder if they in the same year.
I don't know.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people who
I
a
don't
lot
think
of
they
people
came out in
owned
the
it.
same year because Mass Effect got a Series X and S version and Last of Us did not. Didn't get a PlayStation 5 version.
Hmm. So I wonder if was that. I'm gonna have to look it up to see when it came out. With it, because if that then was it 2021? Was it last year that the game came out? Last May?
It came out. Mass Effect came out last year, and Mass Effect came out in 2021, and Last of Us Part Two came out in 2020.
2020. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
My kid's
Oh.
crying. Sorry.
Oh no. I just I think it's just I don't know. I just wish I guess I just wish that these companies, if they're if they feel like it's not going to be worth it, but yet they're still losing money, and I'm not talking about them because of, you know, I'm not talking about them doing online, people doing loot crates and all of that stuff. I'm not talking about all of that. But if a game comes out and it does somewhat well, and of course it's going to have big numbers because it's on multiple consoles and it's not on one console. Like EA wouldn't be here if they just only did one console or have games on one console. They wouldn't be here. I understand that. But I think people just like, we will support EA if you just gave something fresh. You already see us as a community not asking for ports. If you want to port something, that's fine. But you could give us a 6 or 7 hour experience. You can make it $50 or $60. You could put it on a cartridge and see and let us go by that. You could do all of this. We are telling you that we will support you. You know, whether you are a good company or a bad company, we would support you. We just wish that you gave us something to show us to give you guys that support. And then later down on the line, if you want to put those games on other consoles, that's fine. We already know that the reverse is not going to happen. You're going to put those other games on big consoles, and you're not going to give us nothing for Switch or nothing for Nintendo. We already know that.
I just don't think it matters. Like I really don't. I just don't think I just don't think it matters and like
Cause
I feel like this is just like a fanboy want now. You know, like I just feel like whiny fanboys are crying because Mass Effect isn't on the Switch. You know, like,
well,
and that's what it feels. That's seriously what it feels like at this
mhm.
point. You
Well,
know,
I think the thing is like just my thing would be this, and I think because that's what I wrote, I was just like just end the relationship. Because I'm like, we already know that there's no reason of you signing up to be on a Nintendo console if you're not going to support it. Even if their new console come out and it's very powerful, if you're not going to put nothing on it, I would just be like, you know what, we're not putting games on this next Nintendo console because of business reasons. They're a great
but
company.
why
We
do they have
know
to
that
come out and say that? Why can't they just like not do it?
because I think the marketing talk is not of that. If they feel like that it's not going to make sense business, be truthful, honest, and let people know that. Let the gamers know that because they'll be like, okay, we'll still support you as a company on other consoles. We know that we're not going to get no games for Nintendo, so we don't have to we don't we don't have to put our uh beliefs or hype or interest in knowing that you're not going to be on this console or anything. We don't have to be like, oh, that's cool. They get a Titanfall 3. Great. We know that Titanfall 3 is not going to be on the next Nintendo console. That's something we don't have to worry. Oh, Hades 2 is coming to Switch or to the next Nintendo console. We're going to go support there. You know, we fine. EA will get their support on other consoles. That's fine. Just don't say that we got a good business relationship and having people say where.
But they do. Like that's the thing. They do have a good business relationship. They understand, and Nintendo understands what games they're getting. They're not like fighting with these companies.
Yeah, but I think it's just I think for some people just be like, oh, if you got a good relationship, there should be more games on there. That's the
You
logical
put
say.
okay.
But I understand what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
I feel like not enough people take the time to sit and think about the business side of things and like
Hmm.
okay, yeah, there are crummy businesses out there, right? But like I just my son is really crying.
Oh,
So
I think
I just think people think that games are made in like, MS Paint and file
I
save
don't know.
as Switch, and that's not how it works, and it's really just I
Well,
don't know.
I think for some gamers now, because they shown their interest on where games are coming at on Nintendo Switch. Of course, they not worried about EA or Activision or some of the other Western companies. They're not worried. Of course, yes, I agree. They're not worried about that. They're going to put their money where their interest is at. You mentioned Persona 5. Like people were when Joker showed up at the Game Awards for Smash, they'd be like, okay, when is Persona coming? And people didn't. I think people didn't understand. Persona it was have exclusively been on uh on a Sony platform. If we were going to get anything, it would have been Shin Megami Tensei because that started out on the Super Nintendo back in the day, and that was only on one platform. Like even like Atlas, it took Atlas a long time to get where they're at. Then nobody was talking about Shin Megami. Nobody was talking about the Persona series. Like it took Atlas really a long time to get there to where they're at now. People were still shocked that Sega brought them and stuff. And Sega's just like a company that had financial troubles. How in the heck that a company that had financial troubles able to afford Atlas and now look at where they're at? Yakuza was a Sony exclusive until later on it came to Xbox. Yes, no one is asking it for a Switch or anything or Nintendo, but they did at that time when people found out that it was coming to Wii U, they wanted to port it because people were interested in that and playing it for Nintendo. No one knew about Yakuza 1 or 2 on PlayStation 2. But I guess people were when they heard about it that Sega's bringing this game, this M-rated game to Nintendo to Wii U. I would throw some money at it to get to play it because I can't find a copy on PS2 anywhere. But I think now in the age that we are at, gamers are really I think gamers on Nintendo are willing to give new IPs and some existing IPs that's being ported a chance to actually play on it. Or play some interest into it and be like, okay, it's out now. Okay, I'm going to get it.
Yeah. I, I'm trying to look up Switch sales numbers real quick because I'm really interested in terms of which games are selling the best on Switch and where the first third-party game lands.
Right, because I think that's why I mentioned like Square Enix, the turnaround that they did. I mean, y'all left Nintendo for a good 10, 15 years. Like, y'all jump shipped.
Yeah.
And it just feels like literally after Bravely Default came out and y'all got that relationship back in. Like, I'm shocked at how many JRPGs from Square Enix is on a Nintendo console.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Where this list does not look right. Why does this list not look right?
Oh, for Switch sales and stuff.
Yeah, this is by March 2022, but I feel like there are games missing on this list.
It needs. I wonder if they're doing it by quarter, but no, because the new quarter started. And there should have been games from April, May, and June.
No, this is overall. This is of all time.
Oh,
so I have the supposedly the list of the best-selling Nintendo Switch games. Although I think I know Doom and Skyrim should probably be on this list, but they are not on this list for some reason. This is the top 60 best-selling games on the Switch right now, according to this Wikipedia chart, and it was updated. It seems to be out of date, so bear with me. This is as of March 2022. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is number 1. Animal Crossing, Smash Brothers, Zelda, Pokemon Sword and Shield, Mario Odyssey, Super Mario Party, Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, Pokemon Let's Go, Ring Fit Adventure, Super Mario Brothers, New Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe, Splatoon 2, Pokemon Legends Arceus, Luigi's Mansion 3, Super Mario 3D World, Super Mario 3D All-Stars, Monster Hunter Rise at number 17 is the first third-party game on this list at number 17 at 7 million units.
That's surprising.
Why is it surprising?
That it took that. I thought there was more games.
So, Mario Maker 2, Mario Party Superstars, Link's Awakening, Clubhouse Games, Age of Calamity, Skyward Sword, Mario Tennis Aces. Number 25 is the next third-party game, and it is a Japanese-only game from Konami called Momotaru Densetsu. And then at 26, it's 1-2 Switch, Kirby Star Allies, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, Fire Emblem Three Houses. Number 30 is the third-party game at Among Us. Minecraft is at 31. Minecraft, the best-selling game of all time, has only sold 3 million units on the Nintendo Switch.
I think it's because of PC.
It surprises me, but I thought that game would have sold more on the Switch, but 32
Sold a lot on Wii U, which is surprising.
It did not sell a lot on Wii U because it didn't connect to anything. I'm looking it up now because now I'm interested. It sold 500,000 copies on the Wii U. According to this video game charts.com from June 17th, 2016, which was 6 months, about 7 or 8 months before the Switch came out. So it was probably more. Right. It was probably closer to like 7 or 8. Where am I at? Okay. 32, Paper Mario, The Origami King, Metroid Dread, New Pokemon Snap, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Yoshi's Crafted World, ARMS, Mario Golf, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Octopath Traveler. At number 40 is the 4th third-party game. Pikmin 3, Mario plus Rabbids, Captain Toad, Miitopia, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Big Brain Academy, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, Pokken Tournament, Nintendo Labo set number 1. Number 50 is the 5th third-party game at Dragon Ball Fighter Z. Dragon Ball Fighters, however you want to say it. At 1.3 million units. Is the 5th best-selling third-party game on the Nintendo Switch. That's insane. The top 50 games, you only have 5 third-party games. It's lists like these that make third parties not care or want to even try because Nintendo's games sell so well on this thing. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, Mario Kart Live Home Circuit, WarioWare Get It Together, Dragon Ball Xenoverse is at 53. There's 3 tied for 53. Astral Chain, Resident Evil Revelations Collection, Game Builder Garage. And then, once you get into like the 60s range, you have Thief Simulator, Story of Seasons, Shin Megami Tensei 5, Enter the Gungeon, and those are all a little bit over 1 million units each. And
I'm thinking this is because of physical. Because they don't report on digital sales, or is that? I want to say MPD.
Yeah. So, I'm just saying, like, you put out lists like this, and this list is what, 4 months old at this point, 5 months old, and the console's been out for we're in our 6th year. The lists like this is say, oh, you only have 4 third-party games in your top 50. That's scary, I just, and your top third-party game has only sold 3 million units, and it's Minecraft, and Among Us, which are 2 of the most popular games on the entire planet. I don't know. It's just stuff like this that really scares third parties, And the only reason why Monster Hunter is so popular on the Switch is because Nintendo helped really market and fund that version of the game to bring it there, because they didn't get Monster Hunter World. Remember when they tried to pass off Monster Hunter Generations HD as the Switch version, and people were like, "No, we want a real one." I don't know.
Right, and I think Switch was Switch out when World? No, World was out because that was Xbox One and PS4. And I think most of that concept was almost out already.
Yeah,
because it did end up coming to PC also. For World, it is at that time.
And it's not the 90s or 2000s where like selling 1 million units was like the pinnacle of gaming. It's 2022. How many people have these devices? There's like, of the new generation of consoles, there's like 60 million of these consoles out there probably by the end of the year, right? Of the new Xbox and PlayStations. You have PC, like everybody has a computer, right? And probably playing some sort of PC game. Everybody has a mobile phone. Everybody, Switch is super popular. Steam Deck is becoming an interesting piece of tech. Like, a million units is not going to cut it anymore. You know, and like, it's just that's where these companies are weighing the cost of porting it to. Is it even worth it?
I think it,
And if I mean, sorry, I don't mean to keep cutting you off, but
no.
if I was running one of these companies, like, I would say no, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. I'm sure this list is kind of wrong in some spaces because like there's no Sonic game on here.
Mm.
There's no, like, I would have thought Doom would have been on here at least, and Skyrim is probably should be somewhere on this list, but like, just in general, you look at this list, it's like, geez, man, like, what's going on? And like you said, Nintendo doesn't count digital sales, so that means that there are 46 million physical copies of Mario Kart out in the wild, right?
And I wonder if that worries some of the third parties that their physical versions are not selling those kind of numbers.
It's because their games are too big to even fit on the cartridges. That's the other thing too, is like people, like Nintendo fans, want their physical copies.
Mm-hmm.
And some of these third party games, like you look at, when Youngblood came out, Wolfenstein Youngblood, it was just a box with a code in it. It wasn't a cartridge. Or you get Doom and Wolfenstein 2 in there. You have to download like half the game because the cartridge is too small.
Which I think that's why people were just, I guess people were just like, even though they want original content from them, if that could probably fit on the cartridge or anything. But I mean, I do understand. I do get it. I think some people just, because yes, I did write that story about Mass Effect and saying that EA should just end their business, because I'm like, you guys are not definitely at the time, of course. Yes, where's Mass Effect? Why it's not coming to Switch? Yes, you guys are. I think people are interested in seeing Mass Effect, but they want to see how Mass Effect 1 is, before they see 2 and 3 and everything, because that was kind of the talk for that remaster and everything. And people just like, okay, is there going to be a Switch version? Because we don't care if it's on 3 cartridges. We don't care if you guys just make it digital only. Cloud wasn't an option at that time. For some people, cloud is still not an option. But I think people were just like, we will support it, we will get it, because how we talk about double dipping and everything. A lot of people, I think, on Nintendo would double dip for some of these games, and and I know for me, it's just, I guess I'm still on that. Just give me the fair treatment of your games, or not, like I said, not even important stuff. Like you could put a small or experimental game and everything. It's not gonna. We're not asking you to give us all the bells and whistles and everything. We're not asking for a big CG cinematic experience. I'm like, we would like to see something cool from your team. We would like to be able to, and you give it enough love and care, and hopefully someone or a community go out and do support it and everything. Yes, a million sales might not be enough for EA, but you are a company who's always did stuff for multi-platform for a good, for majority of your business. And when microtransactions came in, whatever sales that you didn't get in your game, you were making it up through the microtransactions. Now you might not make it up through Nintendo or anything, but to be honest, microtransactions for EA and Activision, for a lot of the third party, was keeping them on hold. And I know we're gonna wrap up and everything. And yes, I understand why some third parties might not bring their games at this current time to Nintendo Switch. But if their next gen system is very powerful and we still don't get to see anything, then what? If their online system does improve, if we still don't get anything, then what? Because that's gonna be the thing about it. It's gonna be like, I know people won't. What Nintendo got is a great concept with Switch. Now improve upon that, make it powerful, make the cartridges have more data. Just give it the bells and whistles. Okay, if they deliver the bells and whistles once again, and we don't get anything, or for people in that community don't feel like they are not getting anything, then what? And guess what? All those games that you listed, yeah, they're from Nintendo, but even with Capcom, that's from Japan. Japan's been killing it. So that speaks on what are the American companies doing with Nintendo. Because Sony is a Japanese company, and y'all making great sales on that system. Yes, it's
I would
powerful.
argue PlayStation's more of a European and American company at this point. You look at their studios, where
Oh
are they
yeah,
all based, right? I mean,
yeah. I'm thinking of the console. I was thinking of the console, not the games.
I know, but even Mark Cerny is, I think he's Canadian and he designed the console, right? So,
Hmm.
plus plus the PlayStation 5 is not small enough to fit in any Japanese person's house. So,
but but I think with games coming out, just I think games for some of the big major Western third parties or just third parties in general, if I feel like if even if they don't succeed on other consoles, they sometimes will still continue to support those consoles. They won't give up or anything because, of course, they're gonna have to continue to support them because that's where most of their money's gonna be made up from. You're not going to sell Mario. You're not going to do Mario Kart level of sales on one console. No third
nobody
party at
is.
this. No third party would do it. I
No,
I literally thought that some Sony stuff would do it.
no. Sony, like, the thing is like, I don't know. I feel like we could probably just do another expansion pass on this topic, but
So
I just feel like these.
can I say I, I
Again,
didn't mean to upset you.
I'm
That
not
that
I'm
that
not
was
upset. I'm just trying to. I look. I didn't. I'm not trying to sound upset. I'm not upset. I'm just like, first of all, I'm just really tired. But like, I just get frustrated when people are like, "Why aren't these games coming to the Switch or whatever?" And it's like, well, there's first of all, there's technical reasons. Second of all, there's business decisions that these companies have
hmm
to make. Is it worth it? What's the team size? Are we porting? Are we creating something new? What are the expectations of company X versus a company Y? There's so many different things, and it's just, I want, I just, it's, and I think that this was like a good back and forth because, you know, we're coming to it from two different perspectives, and I think people
hmm
got two different perspectives of the conversation. I'm not mad at you. I think this was a good conversation, like I'm not why would I be mad about this conversation? I think it's an interesting topic. Uh
I think I didn't want the tone when people hear the tonality
oh, I
of this
think people
conversation
I
and
think people
see.
just think I'm mad all the time until let's just say I'm not.
No,
Especially when I'm tired because like my voice gets really plus this is this is like the third thing I've recorded today, so my voice is also really deep.
oh no,
Uh
I
so,
understand.
it's yeah.
Yeah, and this well,
I'm not mad, everybody. I'm just tired and my throat hurts.
and I don't want to keep the conversation in a circle, so we're just gonna wrap up.
No, we're
Before we
not. We're
actually
gonna do our
wrap up,
Patreon
that's what I was
stuff.
about to say. Before we wrap up, we're gonna do our Patreon.
Yeah. So if you want to support the Boss Rush Network directly, you can head on over to Patreon, patreon.com/Boss Rush Network. It's our subscription-based service where for just $1 a month, you get early access to shows like Nintendo Power Block Expansion Pass, the Boss Rush podcast, After Dark, and Standard Definition. But if you want to become a Patreon producer, you can subscribe at the $5 level, which grants you early access plus a Patreon producer credit shout out on this here program, as well as others. So without further ado, our Patreon producers for this episode are Quentin Jackson, Rebecca Jewell, Adrielle Munger, my wife, Sana Dirrig, Francisco Santillan, and Celeste Roberts. I want to thank all of our Patreon producers. I want to thank all of our patrons. Remember, all of our content remains free. If you listen on free feeds, please consider leaving Nintendo Power Block a 5-star rating and review on the platform of choice. It really helps with discoverability. It really helps people find us. Yeah. Ed, I think we should do a giveaway. And I know this comes out on free feeds a little bit later, but I think by the time you hear this, we're going to do a giveaway. So listen to Nintendo Power Block proper episodes for that information.
Yes.
So.
Well, Corey, where can we find you?
You can find me at I am Corey HC on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me on the Boss Rush podcast, Nintendo Power Block, Standard Definition, and other things here on the Boss Rush Network.
Yes, you guys can find me at that virtual code here on Twitter and on Instagram. Check out more of Nintendo Power Block and Expression Pass on our YouTube page. But if you are a Patreon, you would get Nintendo Expression Pass early, along with After Dark, Standard Definition, Talk the Walk, and all these other content and everything. With that, everybody, have a great week, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time on Nintendo Expression Pass. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.